Welcome to the channel Living Speaker, where you get to see all videos on audio. Before getting into the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Let's get started together.
In this video, we are going to talk about Definitive Technology BP9080X review. Definitive Technology has released a slew of lifestyle goods in recent years, including sound bars, wireless speakers, headphones, and their Mythos series of attractive but nonetheless high-performance speakers housed in exquisite curved metal casings. However, DefTech's earliest speakers were bipolar designs in the 1990s, and the company continues to develop this technology. The new BP9000 series of bipolar models, several of which incorporate built-in powered subwoofers, are their most recent offerings. The BP9000 range, which is based on the BP8000 series, features numerous floor-standing, center, and surround variants, as well as an elevation module that can be added to the floorstanders to recreate Dolby Atmos and DTS X height channels. The BP9080X, $3,498 USD per pair, is the largest floorstander available. Here's the description of the Definitive Technology BP9080X review. Let's start. Resonance. Even with records that lacked huge scale and/or subsonic bass, the BP9080X sounded great. Lady Gaga's minimally processed voice had a wonderful presence and clarity at the start of Million Reasons, from her Joanne, 16/44.1 FLAC, universal, with minimal accompaniment, and retained their authority later in the track, when she's accompanied by piano and powerfully strummed acoustic guitar. When the guitar's body was tapped with fingertips, the DefTechs were able to express the guitar's subtle, woody resonance. The BP9080X sounded just as good playing this subtle acoustic recording as they did when bashing out several of your favorite bass torture tracks. X Factor. Definitive Technology's first BP10 bipolar model, the Studio Monitor 45, and their current flagship, the Mythos Street L, are all models I've owned throughout the years. I've reviewed the Mythos STS, and you still have a pair of BP8080ST Super Towers. The new BP9080X gave you the impression that its sound was neutral and clear, with plenty of deep bass. It has a large soundstage, similar to other current DefTech bipolar models, with surprisingly outstanding image specificity. When you listen to music for the Native Americans, 16-bit 44.1 kHz FLAC, Capital, by Robbie Robertson and the Red Road Ensemble, the sound can be large and rock-solid, with the percussion's complex rhythms dispersed evenly between the speakers. In Akua Tuda, the traditional drums had a rich, organic character, and the acoustic guitar sounded very lifelike. Solo male vocals sounded quite natural and calm, despite being a touch recessed in placement. This track begins with footsteps and birds, both of which were incredibly clear and clearly defined despite being captured at low levels. Setup. People typically pair the BP9080X with an Oppo UDP205-4K UHD Universal BD player as a DAC preamp and a NAD Masters Series M27 power amplifier in a 2-channel arrangement. They also used a new Prime IDA 8 DAC integrated amplifier for a while. Your Asus VivoBook X200MA laptop computer running Windows 10, FooBar 2000, and Roon can serve as the digital source. It was quite simple and straightforward to set up the DefTechs. You can put them in the conventional stereo speaker positions in your room, then play around with toe-in until you have a solid center image. The subwoofer level was then changed until the bass was to your liking. In your room, an 11 o'clock setting worked best. Using your trusty old RadioShack SPL meter to measure the speakers revealed that your changing the subwoofer level by ear had resulted in a relatively flat in-room response. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.